my scrappy friends. So I have a layout for you tonight. Today, it will be daytime when you guys watch this, probably. Since it's nighttime here in Hawaii. So I am going to be using that photo. And right now I'm just kind of looking through some of my papers because I was thinking about using scraps. So I'm just looking through all these different papers that I have in my stash that I've either worked on or other papers. Like a lot of these papers in that is Maggie Holmes, and that's what I'm going to end up using a lot of, as well as some of the Stitch collection from Amy Tan and some Prima because they have the coffee break. So I'm just kind of looking through to see what catches my eye. I'm kind of thinking about the fact that there is a lot of like a bright green in that picture and then an orange and like a red color for the coffee beans because it is a photo of coffee on the bush. So before it even gets dried and roasted and ready for yummy consumption. So just looking through all my stuff. I have a lot of papers from Prima because I got the packs and I have like 3 of each. And I've been looking through those a lot lately actually. It has a lot of nice colors, like pastel-y colors too on the other side of the 4x6s. So those are the ones that I'm thinking of using. And then I'm going to use this bullseye because I really like that green. And I'm thinking, really, I have no other reason to use a bullseye. So why not use it now and just get it done with? And I thought the color would look really well. So really that's what I was thinking. And I like the circle aspect of it. So at this point I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What the heck am I going to do? Because I have no idea. And so as you see me tapping my fingers, I'm like, maybe I'll put something on the bottom. And I remembered I had that wood grained from the open book and then that dot of cream and green. And I really thought the dot color looked nice as far as it brought out the green. And I did want elements of splashes of green because there is so much green in the leafage on the photo. But I didn't want it to be overpowering either. So I picked that light green dot. And so I'm thinking the fact that I want that piece to be not even or not straight. And so I was figuring out how I could get that accomplished. And so I cut it like that. And that's how the bottom is going to end up being. So right now I'm just looking for something to edge that. And I use those Tim Holtz. Those are the little distress ink pads. And I really like the really small ones because I don't have to buy a big one and not worry about not using that much of it. Because I don't use ink for a lot of stamping since I don't do much really. I mean, a little bit, but not much. So I use Mowed Lawn because I really thought the green would look nice. And it's like a Christmassy, it's a dark green. And I'm just going to use that sponge because that's what I have. So, you can go and buy those expensive pads or you can use what you have. And the sponge works well for me. So, I make sure I inked along the sides of that. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, but I knew that I wasn't going to line this up with anything. So here I'm going to tape it down. I'm committing to having that. And I left a little bit of that green sticking up underneath, just so it was a little bit closer to being halfway. on that circle page on Bullseye. So I wanted to make sure that was pretty straight, because sometimes I don't. So I'm thinking again. And so here are some of those papers that I had before. I think I touched the screen. It's not as bright. So I'm just figuring out what papers I want to layer with. So as I'm thinking of that, I am cutting this down. And this is actually a photo that I printed off from Instagram. So it was on my phone and I just put it in I saved it to my computer and then just printed. So I can, and I like that because I get more of a 4x4 picture than like a 4x6. Because sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I just like that. And so I'm just kind of cutting these down a little bit. And I really love that dot one. That reminds me, or it looks a lot like the red bean seed berries. I believe that's what you call them on the coffee bush. So I'm thinking I want to use that paper also from Coffee Break. And I really like that the look that it just gives it. It kind of breaks up some of the other colors. And I tried to stick with the similar colors and I tried to stick with similar shade. Like I did circles, a lot of circles. So I'm going to outline and ink all these edges. And I'm just outlining in that gray pen that went along with the Chamel collection. They're similar to Sharpies. I like them. That gray one is like one of my favorite ones. And it doesn't show up too much, which is what I want. So I'm piecing it this way because I really want to try to keep it as similar as possible to what I had. And that's Studio Calico paper. I think that's from the Lemon Lush collection, if I'm not mistaken. It's older. But I really like the watercolory circles that it gives. And I do outline this one, though you can't really see it. And I'm okay with that. I mean, it just adds a little bit of extra interest and detail when you look at my page, but overall, it's just going to give the page a uniform look. And when I do these layers, I try not to overcomplicate them and think about them too much. Because I find that you can sit there and move stuff around and it will look almost exactly if you just spend like not much time doing it. So that is my key to doing to layering papers like this, is not overthinking it, just putting it down. And but also part of not thinking about it too much is deciding if you want a lot of the paper to show or a little bit, because then that when you go about to do the layers, you can cut them ahead of time and just kind of like fix them a little bit. So yeah, that's really, I find, has been the best thing for me with doing the layering and just figuring out how I like it. I mean, I don't know. I think it just takes time. You just got to keep doing it. And eventually, either you realize you get the hang out of it or you realize that you just don't like that look. And that's okay. I mean, I like that look, but I don't always do it. So I found that lately I've been doing a lot of layering, and maybe just because I hadn't been for a while, so I'm kind of trying to go back. So I'm looking through the Amy Tan die cuts because I knew that there were some of those watercolory circles, and I really want to stick with that thought process of I have circles in a lot of the layers. So, and that piece says always on my mind. And that blue matches the coffee break paper that is on in one of the layers. So that one I'm going to put on pot dots, but I don't adhere it down yet. And those all have a little bit of like a mint green, and then I think I use some of the dark green too with it, just to kind of make them pop out a little bit more. And I stick those in there. And then so I'm gonna look through these, and I will warn you right now. Um, Apparently, I either lost footage or I forgot to put it on my computer. So the ending of this layout is not on here. So really what you miss is me putting on the title and putting together the last cluster that I put. So back to the layout. I'm going to use those, like, they're almost transparent stickers, and I really like that about that. The only thing is that if you really want them to show up, the light ones don't show up that much. But I really like that it kind of gives it a different feel. And so I cut it off because I don't want the whole thing on there. I just feel like it's a little too busy. And so this is when I decide to adhere that. Um, so real quick, I about the photo. So obviously it's a picture of berries, the coffee berries that are on the tree. One of the days, I think this is like the day after Christmas. Yeah, it is. I took my daughter to physical therapy, and on the way home, we stopped at a local coffee farm shop that sells coffee and like pastries, and they grow their beans right there. And so it's really cool because you can see the beans, and I love the view from there, as well as I love just seeing it's fun seeing the coffee beans. Being a coffee lover, it's just really cool to see them and know that you're getting it right. They're going to pick them and they're going to dry them and roast them and then grind them up and put them in your coffee. And so what you're drinking is, and the coffee from this area where the farm is very almost a muddy flavor because there's so much minerals in the dirt here that you really get that flavor, but then it's just smooth at the end. That is that similar smooth to like the Kona coffee, but it's just a lot more muddier. I don't know, it's super hard to explain, but it's way different. So those are some of the pieces that I picked to go along, and they're going to end up in that left hand corner down at the bottom, and then my title is going to go in the middle above it. So in a minute I'm going to show you the close-ups because that's the end, and I also do splatter some Mr. Huey's and some Lindy Stamp Gang just in colors that are similar. And so yeah, and I just layered like some chipboard pieces, and I tried to stick with the same colors. Oh yeah, I forgot I used that flare badge that had the gold. It kind of went along with that line paper. So that is pretty much it, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. Bye.